Well, hello, YouTubers. My name is Kevin Badway. Welcome to another edition of Kevin's Commentary. Pardon my beg your pardon if my video seems a little shaky. I'm holding my iPad, so uh, it's I don't think it's Parkinson's or anything like that. So if it seems a little shaky, I apologize. Um, so the thing in the news right now is Kanye West saying some things that are highly controversial, and I never did like him. I mean, now I'm a lyricist myself, and I like to hear good lyrics, and I'm sure that's why he became the success that he became. Aside from selling his soul to Satan, but a lot of times when you many celebrities they do or say things that are controversial because one, it helps push weight or helps sell records. Um, Two, it keeps your name out there. In between albums, and it creates a buzz, and people are talking about you. And as long as you're keeping your name on people's lips, it doesn't matter if the controversy is good or bad, uh, because you could always overcome that later. And maybe you'll explain it in your song that's coming up, and this and that and the other, whatever, or in your album or videos or what have you. But whatever the case is, I never really did like Kanye per se, and the recent comment that he made obviously would be off of the cuff very offensive to anybody who is against oppression or slavery and so forth and so on. But if we analyze what he said, and I don't even think he really fully analyzes what he said, I think that if you say something and you have to backtrack over it, either one, because you're afraid of the backlash, you feel like you have to try to justify your statement, or what have you. Chances are you probably didn't think your thought all the way through, um, or you're just doing it because you're just trying to save face. You're just trying to explain something. It's like, well, what I meant was, well, that's the problem with today's conversation is people don't say what they mean. They speak random thoughts and then expect people to fill in the lines, and unfortunately people are always filling in the wrong information, and so therefore you have to go back and explain yourself. Well, in the case of this particular statement, on the surface it seems like a highly inappropriate statement and it seems very offensive. But if we analyze it, was the comment that he made really wrong? Now, this is where it becomes controversial on my part as well, because anybody who knows me knows I'm not a racist. What I've had to go through my life with my family and this, that, and the other, and my experiences, uh, that it would be very hard pressed for people who know me to classify me as being racist. However, um, in saying that, I also understand that uh, I have come to the point to where I try to think about things logically. I try to look at things at both sides of the coin before I jump on any bandwagon. Because racism is such I would say, a predominant thing in this country still, that uh, it's easy to get caught up in emotion with what racism brings about. Racism brings about a lot of hate and anger. So I want to try to be uh, careful here and not just blindly make a comment. Uh, but I would ask that people who are listening to me making this comment that they examine what I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying, think about it before you respond with any negativity of such. But I do think that the comment that he made initially, which was to say that slavery is a choice, if you think about it logically, he's not too far off point when he says that. And the reason for that being is this: we all make choices. When we allow something, we make a choice. Slavery, you have a choice. You could either choose to be enslaved, basically allowing people to shackle you and force you to work for next to nothing wages to build whatever it is, their businesses or their homes or their railways or what have you, which is what slavery has done. Uh, but there were people who refused to be slaves, refused to be shackled. And they either, A, committed suicide, they cut their own throats, they slit their own wrists, they did whatever. They jumped off a cliff, or they jumped off the boat, uh, or they put up a fight. They rebelled. The case in point, Amistad. These quote unquote people who were going to be forced to be slaves chose not to be slaves and put up a fight on that boat and overtook the boat and so forth and so on. So if you succumb to something, as bad as it may be, as evil as it may be, you're still making a choice to give in because you value your life. You want to, and when I say value your life, how much value do you place on it when it's being degraded, when it's being tortured and what have you? But sometimes we love our flesh so much that, and spiritual reasons, a lot of us think that committing suicide is wrong, and that we could go to hell for that. And some people believe that. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that particular theory or not, but that's something that's in God's hands. He's the judge. He's the one that decides if you live or die, or go to hell or heaven or whatever that may be based on the choices you make. But however, the point I'm making is that we sometimes love the flesh so much that we don't want to die, and we don't want to be tortured, and we'll say yes sir and no sir and yes ma'am and no ma'am and do whatever. It doesn't make you an Uncle Tom to save your own skin. That's, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Joshua, sorry. I have to. If you ever hear me use the name Jesus, I apologize. I try to refer to my Lord and Savior's name in His Hebrew name, which is Yeshua HaMashiach. So Joshua had told Peter that he's going to deny him 3 times just to save his own skin, and Peter was like, "No, man, I'm not going to do that. Man, I'm going to let everybody know I know you." But sure enough, when the time came about, he gave into pressure and he denied him 3 times. But there was a reason for that. And the reason was he can't die if he's supposed to be the cornerstone of the church. If he's supposed to be the rock upon which the church is built, that would make Christ a liar, and that would not be part of the plan, so to speak. But there are times when you are willing to say things that are not necessarily true just to save your skin, or to do things that you might suffer in the process, but at least you're still alive for whatever quality of life that may be. And in this case, I believe that what Kanye said on the surface, he probably should have handled it better. But logically thinking, it is a true statement. We do allow ourselves to be slaved when we go to work at a job. We're allowing someone to tell us whether or not we're qualified to do that job. We could have went to anybody else, but we settled for this particular company because either it was close by or because it was, they were the only ones that were hiring or whatever. The thing is, we make decisions. We're corralled into certain decisions. But we ultimately decide whether or not we want to be working at Walmart or we want to work on Wall Street. And it's a matter of choice. I think the name, I can't remember the name of the guy real quick, but they made a movie about him with Will Smith called The Pursuit of Happiness. The man did not want to lose custody of his son. He chose to be homeless and to have his son with him. But he never gave up. His eyes was on the prize, so to speak, and he was going to keep doing what he did until he got where he needed to go in order to be the success he needed to be to get off the street. And he became a multimillionaire and so forth and so on. And the rest is history. Sometimes you just have to make bad choices. Slavery is one of those choices. It's a choice that no one wants to make. The choice is either to be enslaved, to fight, or to take your own life. And chances are, if you're going to fight, you're probably going to get killed. Uh, so it's not a popular choice. But it's a choice. Everything we do is a choice. Everything we do has repercussions. It may not always be positive. It may not always be the right one. But I do believe that if you think about this logically and rationally, uh, as most non-believers like to say that they think so, that this is a true case of uh, that what he said was in fact true. And I say it with hesitancy because I know that there are going to be people of color out there watching this going, "Come on, dude, man, come on, man, that's bullshit," blah blah blah. But the thing is, when you say stuff like that, think about what you're saying. Slow your roll, calm down, think about what I'm saying. You make choices in life. You make choices whether or not you want to stay in the hood, for example. If you live in the ghetto, the barrio, if you're living in a poor environment, you can choose to be a street corner Waldo if you want, or you can rise above it. Uh, some of the greatest people that ever lived, came out of the ghettos and barrios. They chose not to get caught up in all the negativity that surrounded them. Many of them chose not to be in gangs. Some of those who did become in gangs or did get into gangs uh, chose to get out of it. Uh, uh, you look at Malcolm X, prime example. Uh, some of the choices that he made led him to do what he did that caused him to get into prison. And it was while he was in prison. True, he made another choice, but he chose to get smarter. He chose to be uh, he chose to read. He chose to learn. And even though I may disagree with him about the religion that he chose, uh, the thing is, he made choices that led him all the way up until his death. Uh, but he made decisions, and he was willing to live and die by those decisions that he made, regardless of whether or not. But he was not going to be put into a box. Uh, and I'm talking about the proverbial box, not necessarily a pine box. And that's what we do today. We continue to put ourselves in certain boxes, and we become trapped and enslaved to this mentality. And I think that's what Kanye was kind of scratching the surface about when he made that comment. So agree or disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. You have every right to. But rather than jump on the bandwagon, as much as I dislike Kanye Pest, as much as I uh, am thoroughly disgusted with him and a lot of the people in the music industry for what they've done, how they have become basically sex trolls and devil trolls, I just choose not to partake in that line of thinking or behavior. So take it for what it's worth. And if you want to leave comments, feel free to do so because we need to have dialogue. We need to have a discussion about this. Uh, so thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, peace out and love everybody. Matter of fact, give somebody you normally wouldn't give a hug today. They need it. I'm out. Bad way out. Peace.